Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Bliss Mode again, back with another video. I'm just trying to keep the videos coming out quickly. Started drawing this last night in an attempt to just kind of keep the content flowing. And I really didn't intend for it to be such a project. I just wanted to kind of bust out a quick illustration, maybe spend like an hour or two on it. But this entire illustration took like 7 or 8 hours. So what you're looking at now is sped up by like 3,000%, something crazy like that. And so, basically, I think this video is just going to be me kind of talking about what you're seeing on screen. Really, with this drawing, I started it as basically a scribble. I'm sure, like, if you've done that before where you've just started scribbling and kind of see where it takes you. I do that a lot when I really don't have an idea. And one thing about doing that is it kind of helps you to have more confidence in your style. So I'll start basically scribbling, making shapes on the page. And what I can do is I could just hone it down into the content that I usually create because I have a strong confidence in my style and I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And I obviously have like a certain set of content that I usually create, so I can just kind of gear it towards that. But one of the downsides when you do that is normally when you're drawing, especially when you're drawing figures, you want to start with basically the entire body. So a lot of times when you see people draw, they'll start with like a line that basically would be the flow of the entire body, or an S curve, or they'll just block out the entire body. And that's really good for the flow of your drawing, for the gestalt is what they call it. But when you do this kind of style where you're just basically riffing off of a scribble, it's kind of hard to do that. And so what tends to happen is you're drawing from body part to body part, which I do not recommend. And the reason I don't recommend that is because you're not seeing the overall picture. And so what tends to happen is you zoom in on one feature, get it really nice, then you move on to the next feature, and there's like no coherence between the two. On one hand, I say you shouldn't do that, but then on the other hand, if you are just patient enough and you can work through the problems, then I think it can be a really beneficial practice. So if you're constantly having to correct your problems, it gets really frustrating. This drawing specifically, I changed the pose like a couple different times. It just got to the point where I was kind of mad with it until I wasn't. But when you're drawing in this manner, where you're drawing from body part to body part, it is harder, and a lot of the times it's going to stiffen up your drawing. But if you're going through and you're correcting the problems that this issue creates, it's really good mental practice. And so this is something I'm probably going to be saying like a lot, is you just really have to be honest with yourself when you're creating art of any kind, really, and just be willing to go in and fix the mistakes. That's where all the learning is going to happen. That's where all the growth is going to happen. And so, it was probably a little dumb to start body part to body part and start with a scribble. But by fixing it and recognizing my mistakes and remembering my mistakes, they become less likely to happen in the future. So with this drawing, originally I was going to do a stand-up pose. The reason I decided to scrap that and kind of go with this more of this top view, a top half body view, whatever you want to call it, is because I didn't want to be forced into this portrait composition. I kind of figured that this illustration would be used for stickers, maybe a print, but definitely stickers. And I don't know about you, but when I get something like a sticker, I kind of wanted to have a circular or square sort of ratio. So when you get into like landscape and portrait ratios, it's a little harder to place something like a sticker because you have to kind of conform it to whatever surface you're placing it on. And then I also am constantly thinking about where are people going to see my art. And so I mainly post on Instagram. Instagram is mostly square images. So I want to be able to fit the entire image into the square, and I want the thumbnail to look as good as possible. And so I scrapped the idea of having the character stand up and kind of went with just this top view. Like I said, I was really struggling with this drawing until I got to this pose. And that's one thing you'll notice whenever you're drawing is sometimes it can just really suck in a way until it doesn't. And you really have to push past that part of frustration, anger. Probably, you kind of feel like you just want to take a break or maybe even stop altogether. And really, I recommend just pushing through that. Also, maybe even just find the part of the drawing that you hate the most and just kind of work on that. Because what tends to happen is you get to this point where you reach a new pose or you figure out a composition, some sort of stylish element, and it really just kind of clicks. And then once you hit that point, it's like you don't want to stop, right? So like I said, this drawing was only supposed to be like 2 hours at the most because I'm trying to get through all this other stuff I have to do. But what had happened was I found a pose I liked. I was really happy with the shapes. And once I reached that point, it's just kind of hard to pull me away from the drawing. So 2 hours turned into 4 hours, turned into 6, turned into 8. I started this last night, finished it up a couple hours ago today. And that's really what you want to be looking for is you want to get in that zone. You can't really depend on motivation, but where motivation is going to come a lot of the time is after you put in the work, really. After you get through the struggle and then you find something that you enjoy, you find something that kind of clicks with your style, clicks with your mood or your vibe. And then once you reach that point, that's where the motivation is usually present. You can listen to music, kind of get in the mood before you start drawing, or maybe you see something inspirational, but you really shouldn't depend on that. If you don't feel inspired by anything or you don't have a lot of motivation to draw or do your craft, then I would recommend just doing it anyway and just pushing past that first, usually like a third of the project until it clicks. And by doing this, you're training yourself to not run away from problems, and you're giving yourself a confidence that no matter what situation you run up against, that you're going to be able to find a solution to your problem. And confidence is really key, especially if you're doing anything creative. You really should kind of have this, and it's almost contradictory, this mindset of supreme confidence and also being your biggest critic. So you should feel like you're amazing at your art. At the same time, you should also be the person who's most critical of your art. And it kind of seems weird to hold both of those positions at the same time. But really, that is the mindset that you want to have when you're going into something like drawing, music, anything really that I've found. It's all about how you frame things. You should be telling yourself whatever is going to help you to complete your task. And you should believe that you're going to complete your task and that it's going to be where you want it to. And then at the same time, you also have to recognize when you don't like something. A lot of the times I run into a shape or just a pose, anything really that I don't like. And at that moment, it's really easy to just kind of back off or let it slide, or this piece over here looks great, so maybe I'll just focus on this and kind of push this into the background. don't make compromises. Don't make compromises like that, because you're really only compromising your final product. You're compromising your growth. And honestly, like, why would you want to do that? I know not everyone who draws or creates art is really trying to improve, but for me, I am. I'm always trying to improve. And if you don't have that mindset, then that's cool. As long as you're doing art, that's cool. But for me personally, I'm always trying to be better at what I do, and that also makes it more fun. Don't be afraid of competition. Don't be afraid to want to be better. Don't let people try to tell you that you wanting to improve yourself or improve your craft is somehow narcissistic, or it's not something that you should focus on. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to make you happier with your art is you knowing that it's where you want it to be. You can draw something and have a lot of happy accidents and come out with something pretty cool. But honestly, when you draw something and it turns out how you wanted it to turn out, that feeling that you get, it's amazing, honestly. And just getting to that point comes with practice. And then, down the road, you realize, maybe I didn't do this as good as I thought, but that's all right. As long as in the moment you didn't lie to yourself and you felt it was good, then I would just recommend going with that. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up here. Like always, like and subscribe. Be sure to check out Core Component on my website, blissmodeart.com /core component if you want to go to the comic directly. I got a couple of pages done, and after I'm done editing this video, I'm gonna get back to work on the second chapter of Core Component, and so hopefully I can get that out. I think I might be placing it up for Patreons first as sort of an early access type of deal. So if you have the time, you want to check it out, and if you sign up there, then whenever the next chapter comes out, you'll have early access. Like I said, eventually I do want to release a crowdfunding page for it to get out the full physical manga volume. Besides that, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments, and I will catch you guys next time.